And outside the box reviews, we are taking a look at the NECA Toys Evil Dead 2 Ultimate Ash figure. This is pretty much an update of the Farewell to Arms Ash, and I think they called it the Evil Ash figure, the Demonic Ash, that came out in, I believe, the first wave of the Evil Dead figures NECA did a few years back. Like a lot of these updated Ultimate figures, he features somewhat better articulation and a bunch of accessories. I'll say right off the bat here, if you already have those two figures, there may not be a ton here that you're going to be really anxious to get your hands on, but we'll take a closer look at the accessories and you can make up your own mind on it. Of course, the required accessory here, we do get Ash's boomstick. It's a nice double barrel shotgun. This is before it gets sawed off, so it's a longer version of the shotgun. We have kind of some wood grain going on here on the stock. The trigger is well done. Everything's pretty nicely detailed. There's some silver kind of dry brushed into the barrels to give it a more aged look. I do believe this trigger guard here may be a slightly more rubbery plastic. I guess the whole gun would be in that case because it's all one piece. But on the original version, this had a tendency to break when you tried to get his finger through the trigger guard. And that happened pretty much immediately. And I've been having a little better luck so far. That may end really quick here, but so far so good. We also get the reel-to-reel player, which was one of my favorite accessories back when this figure first came out. It's so well detailed. I love that they got not just the reels, but all the little buttons, the switch here. You have the audio jacks there on the side. You have the speaker there on the side as well, the little feet on the bottom of it. A slot that looks like it would probably be for batteries. Another speaker on the other side with another little jack there. More little feet here on the bottom, and a little handle up here on top. It's just such a nicely detailed, tiny little piece that I just have to love it. We also get our Necronomicon. This is the small version that we get with these figures as opposed to the older figures that came with much larger Necronomicon books. Cover here looks pretty good. You have the face going on, you have the little teeth painted on there, a nice mix of browns to bring out all the little wrinkly skin details. More detail there on the back. Then we do get the pages inside that look nice and weathered and torn up and just really gross. Then we get the axe covered in green demon blood. Nice wood grain there on the handle. And overall, just a very nicely sculpted piece. And then we get Ash's girlfriend's head. Is it Linda or was that his sister? I never remember the names of the girls in Evil Dead. But she looks great, just like the original version. She has her own demon blood coming out around her mouth. Actually, it looks more black than green like on the axe. There's some very sharp yellow teeth in there. Her eyes are dead white. Some nice detail in the hair. A lot of different colors brought in there to give all the texture. Maybe the bloody stump there at the bottom. Overall, a very nice accessory. And we get the possessed hand. So this has the bite mark on it, all the wrinkles, the claws, damage to the palm of the hand there. Then we have the wrist coming up. You can see the bones inside. Nice little piece. It doesn't really stand up on its fingers doing a cousin it or anything like that on your shelf. But sometimes you can kind of get it onto Ash's shoulder like it's about to attack him or something like that. I gotta admit, I kind of was hoping the standard Ash head sculpt would be a little different on this figure. I had some issues with it last time, just that they kind of used that same scared head sculpt, I think 2 or 3 times within the line. But having not really looked at it too closely anytime lately, it's kind of nice to see it again here. I don't have my old one readily available to compare, but I feel like the paint is better on this. There's dark lines around his eyes, but I feel like they're a little bit more minimized than they were on the original release. The blood has a very nice glossy tone to it, making it look fresh and gross. There's the blood coming off of his lip. His teeth are well painted with his mouth open there. The eyes are even nicely painted. The blood goes right up to the hairline. The hair even kind of looks slicked back with blood and goo and all that stuff. So there's no real paint coloration in there besides black, but that gloss helps it look wet. And of course, we definitely have the classic Bruce Campbell chin going on here. Of course, this head can be popped off and replaced with a demonic Ash head. The eyes are very sunken in there. There's a lot of good purples and gross coloration around his face. The blood looks a lot more dry on this version than it does on the other. You have his craggly looking demon teeth. The hair is pretty much the same, still that shiny black slicked back look. But all the coloration around his face, the blacks, and the bruised up look of the reds and purples, I think looks pretty darn good. The rest of the figure looks a lot like the old one. We have his blue shirt that's covered in browns and greens to make it look very weathered and worn, but it's not torn or anything at this point. It is kind of a rubberized piece. I don't believe there's any hidden articulation under there. I think that was just so they could peel it back for the hero version. The arms are hard sculpted. So here on his left side, we have the hand with the trigger finger. There's some blood blood on the hand as well, including up the sleeve too. And then here on his right, we do get more blood there on the sleeve. And then we have his normal human hand, which I'm having issues with. It doesn't want to stay pegged in too well, so that's a bit of a bummer. But you can pop that out, and what pops in very nicely is his demon hand. This is a possessed hand. You have the bite mark on it, very similar to the loose version of the hand, although the nails on this one aren't painted black, which seems like a bit of a mistake. But overall, a very nicely sculpted hand there. And then you could pop this whole forearm section out and instead peg in the severed arm version with the rag and duct tape on it. Now, as I said, I haven't really looked at the old figure in a while, but I don't remember it having this much of the rag kind of 3D sticking out off the arm. I thought it was more sculpted really flat to the arm before, so that may be an upgrade. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it does kind of seem that way. But the duct tape looks nice on here. The bandage is nice and gross looking, just as it should be. Going further down, we have a new lower torso section. This is the diaper that we were used to more now. Before it was a hard sculpted piece with V cuts at the crotch. We have the belt detailed out there, a nice silver belt buckle, all the holes in the belt, all the wrinkles. Pants look reasonably dirty as they should in the movie. You have the pockets back there with the bottoms of the pockets sculpted kind of oddly on the legs because articulation is going to make that look really strange. There's nice detailing on the pants. You have all the seams and wrinkles. Then you get down, he has a torn up section here on his left leg. You can see his sock underneath. And then we have his boots, which are decently done as well. Black soles on them and peg holes at the bottom. For articulation, the top of the figure is exactly as the old one was, so we do get a ball joint at the head. Not a whole lot of up and down motion, kind of hindered by the head sculpt, but you can rotate side to side as well as tilt. Pin socket arms that will go forward, back, as well as out to the side. You could bend at the elbow a little less than 90 degrees as well as swivel. When you have hands on, they are on ball joints, so they will rotate as well as move up, down, left, right, whatever direction you need them to. You get a ball joint at the waist, so you can go back, forward, twist side to side as well as pivot. You can see he actually has some of his shirt still sculpted underneath there, which is a nice touch. Now, the hips are really the big difference with this figure. As I mentioned before, they used to be V-cuts, and then it would kind of have this awkward motion to move his legs out. Now they're pinned in sockets, so you can go forward, back, as well as out to the side, and you can swivel at the upper leg. Then we get the same old single-jointed knees, bend maybe about 45 degrees, and then a ball-jointed foot. Overall, I feel the same way about this Ultimate Ash figure as I did about the original Ultimate T-800 Terminator figure that we got. There's not really much new here, and granted this replaces two figures as opposed to that original T-800 Ultimate figure just replacing one. So if you never got those old Ash figures, this is actually a really great one to have. But in making it Ultimate, I feel like NECA could have done more. We got the updated hips, but Ash already had hip articulation, so we just got slightly better hip articulation, and everything else was kind of the same. In full disclosure, I think part of the reason I'm feeling down on this figure is because while I've had this one for a little bit and just finally got around to reviewing it, I just picked up the new Ash vs. Evil Dead figures today. And when it comes to articulation, they blow this thing out of the water. And I really wish NECA would have taken the time to redo this figure. They probably even could have used some of the same parts and made a real Ultimate Ash figure that's more articulated than this one ever dreamed to be. And another minor gripe is just the fact that he doesn't have a hand that really holds the axe. You can see here, he just has a very loose grip on it because the hand needs to be stretched out to hold the shotgun. So basically you can either never give him the shotgun and maybe the hand will stay tight enough to hold the axe, or the second you give him the shotgun, I don't think you're ever really going to hold the axe that well ever again. And that always disappoints me. When a figure comes with an accessory they really can't use all that well. So this figure is going to get a recommend, but it's not a super strong recommend. If you have the old figures, unless you really want to get them into a sitting pose or something, there's really no reason to upgrade to this. But if you never picked up those older figures and you want a good Ash figure, I definitely would recommend it. Now I have to imagine that Ultimate Ash without a chainsaw hand means that there's going to be another Ultimate Ash, just like we've gotten other Ultimate Terminator figures and other Ultimate Freddy Krueger figures. Kind of thinking there's another version of this coming down the line at some point. So we'll see if I'm right. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been our Outside the Box Reviews. Hail to the King, baby.